Welcome back to my top 10 WWE / Mount Rushmore. I guess the two have sort of combined to become one thing ultimately. So how this video works, I list 7 people that could be on the Mount Rushmore of a certain WWE category in no specific order. The first 7, no specific order. And then the final 3 that must be on the Mount Rushmore of this category. And then you in the comment section, you let me know who the 4th is. So it's kind of a top 10 list, kind of Mount Rushmore, all melted into one. So seeing that we're in the most Rumble-full time of the year, let's talk about Royal Rumble winners. So what makes a Royal Rumble winner good? The match itself needs to be good. The win needs to be impressive enough. The win needs to be warranted. And also maybe the run up to WrestleMania, that also needs to be important and big. So let's start off with Edge. When he came back in 2020, I almost said 2020, which is 2020/2010. When he came back in 2010, I popped like crazy. He looked better than he's ever looked before, and of course, winning the match. Then he came back in 2020, looking even better for some reason, and then he went on to win the 2021 Royal Rumble. Now, Edge, I'm a big fan of the Rated R Superstar, the Ultimate Opportunist, all of that. He could be on the Mount Rushmore, but there's one thing that sullies his attempt to be on the Mount Rushmore, and that's simply he's the only multi-time Rumble winner to never have a successful Mania attempt. All the other multi-time winners went on at least once to win at WrestleMania. So that's kind of something that it's not the best look for Edge, but I still think he deserves a nod in this direction. Next, we've got The Undertaker. Now, The Undertaker, of course, winning in, I believe it was 2007. Now, The Undertaker was already at this point, he was a made man, like completely made man. He was almost more important for the Rumble than the Rumble was for him. Now, why this one is so special to me is that match within a match. Probably the best match within a match I've ever seen in a Royal Rumble was the final to him and HBK having like, I think it was like a 10-minute match before one of them, HBK of course, ultimately got chucked out. Now, why this is also so important is this is when Undertaker's streak was at its absolute height, where it was the thing. Now the streak combined with championship match, combined with the Undertaker is choosing who his streak is up against, that just made for compelling TV. Next, we need to talk about Rhea Ripley. So Rhea Ripley, she of course lost her championship in NXT to Charlotte Flair, it should never have happened. Then Rhea Ripley went on this warpath of becoming the ultimate boss. And she did just that. And the Rumble made her a megastar. Now I know this was not canon, this was not storyline at all, but for me, her winning the Rumble and then ultimately challenging and beating Charlotte for the Women's Championship at Mania was kind of retribution for what happened to her with the NXT Championship years ago. That's just how I see it. It's probably completely wrong, but that's how I see it. Next, we've got Batista. So Batista's one of those guys where his one Rumble is just, let's not talk about the one, we're going to talk about the 2005 one. And if nothing else, there was only 2 possible winners. It was John Cena and it was Batista. And the ending, you could not script it any better. The 2 of them touching the floor at exactly the same time, even though Batista was meant to win. Vince McMahon storming out, tearing his quads, shouting at them from a seated position, getting the match started. It just absolutely everything, the way those 2 acted, like, I win. I legitimately thought this was the planned ending. This was how it was supposed to be, even though it was completely by accident. Now that's a happy accident. Now, his lead up to the breakup of Evolution and his feud with Triple H at Mania 21 was fantastic. And Batista's one of those that after he won the Royal Rumble, he was pretty much a main eventer for the rest of his run, which is kind of impressive. Next, we need to talk about HBK, Shawn Michaels. Probably almost Mr. Royal Rumble. So Shawn Michaels, of course, winning 2. The problem with these is both the Rumbles were lackluster at best. But he set a precedent for what the ending could be. And that was Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, throwing him out, him not only 1 foot touching the ground. That's where both feet touching the ground. That's where that really got started. Him skinning the cat, bumping out Davey Boy Smith. That is a Rumble moment that still gets repeated. And that was 1995, I believe. That is, I want to say almost 30 years later. It will be 30 years later, and it's probably going to get played when they speak about both feet touching the ground this year at the Rumble. Next, Becky Lynch. Now, this unfortunately happened in not the greatest circumstances, but it led to fantastic things. Now, there was only one choice to win the Rumble. It was only Becky Lynch. Yet, she wasn't in the match. Number 30 comes out and she's injured. And Becky Lynch is like, let me at him. And Finley's just like, sure, go ahead. Who gives Finley that right to just put her in the match? I know he's a producer, but still, he's a match producer. He's not a GM. He's not an authority figure like that. Who gives him that right? It's kind of that sullies her win a little bit, but the run after that, the man, everything just makes this one that absolutely deserves a mention. Next, we need to talk about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, of course, if this happened in front of audience, it would have been so much better. It happened, unfortunately, in front of screens, and there was the whole Brock Lesnar thing. Brock Lesnar just eating everybody, and Drew McIntyre eventually just kicking Brock Lesnar completely, not just out of the ring, but out of the universe. This was one of the best Rumble wins. Now, unfortunately, the ultimate feel-good moment happened in front of no audience at all, which is sad, but it doesn't nullify. I said earlier it happened in front of screens. That wasn't the Rumble. Just hear me out. It wasn't the Rumble. It was, and also not in front of screens, us sitting in front of screens. It was Mania that was not a live event, or it was live, but you guys get it. There was no audience because of the global pandemic. Drew should have had his moment in front of a live audience. It would have made for such a better moment. Now the three that absolutely needs to be on the Mount Rushmore. Let's talk about Cody Rhodes. He's the current defending two-time Royal Rumble champion. I don't think he's going to be in this year's Royal Rumble, so I don't think he's going to three-peat, which I don't think anybody's ever going to do. Stone Cold did a double. Stone Cold, of course, winning 3, but 2 in a row. And he did 2 in a row. You guys, anyway. I don't think anybody's ever going to three-peat. Now, Cody's story was a long story. He did finish the story. Now, the reason why he's on the Mount Rushmore of Rumble winners is simply just the 2 matches within the matches he had. The one with Gunther, the one with CM Punk, both deserve to be mentioned. And then, of course, this led to the main event of WrestleMania 40. And that is one of the best matches of all time. So Cody absolutely deserves a mention. Next, Ric Flair. 1992 Rumble. This was the first Rumble that actually had any sort of stakes to it. Like, the winner gets something. The Rumbles before that, the winner, just you are the Rumble winner. So Ric Flair entering, I believe he entered at number 3, outlasting everyone. I believe it was number 3. I'm speaking under correction. It may have been 2, may have been 3, but I think it was 3, outlasting everyone else. And the commentators, this is not fair to Flair. And Hulk Hogan doing his heel move, helping Rick Chuck out, said just everything of this is just pure gold, and Flair just selling this win like no one's business. This was the first really good Rumble. It still holds up. And then lastly, Stone Cold, 3-time winner. At one point he had the most Rumble eliminations. At one point he had the most time spent in Rumbles. At one point he just had every single record you could possibly think of. The 2001 Rumble leading to Mania 17, just Stone Cold. It's Stone Cold. He is absolutely on the Mount Rushmore of Royal Rumble winners. But that's all just my opinions, and I would like to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section. Until next time, peace.